I'm Greg Holdridge, and I'm from Somar. Grew up in Somar. The band's Iconoclast.
I'm Yao Masawa, also known as Renee. Renee, the bass player, aka Rainy. No, I was playing. Other Iconoclast, hailing from Silmar.
This was the first time I heard about them when I was 14 or maybe early 15. Um, at Koo's Cafe, which was a spot that a lot of peace punk or anarcho punk shows would happen. I bought this off of maybe a vendor or somebody that was like bootlegging old punk tapes and keeping, because a lot of all these bands on this comp, this came with a cassette. Um, they're all pretty much from the early 80s. So it's kind of like a history thing, I guess. As I tell you. So yeah, and they're pretty much on the first page, and it had a song off of their 7-inch. I feel like punk music maybe was a spark of something reactionary to like a very dull time, or just feeling like maybe the the 60s and the movements and all that stuff getting crushed, and the politics of that time starting to change, and it seems seeming like the state won or the government won against people's movements. Maybe it seemed like not to say people weren't still struggling in different places, but I think in a lot of ways, even in like music culture, everything might have felt dull or disco, or it was a reaction to like just blowing up everything, like going back to simple, accessible, or creative rock rock and roll music, and not necessarily having to care about how talented you are at an instrument, or maybe it's your first time picking up an instrument. So I think it was a kind of a thing that was like empowerment or self-determination type stuff when people made punk.
I don't think it's as much of a threat or a mystery, but if you go on the surface of popular punk or pop punk or mainstream punk, it's made enough of a splash where even those that didn't catch the late 70s and 80s are initiated into it. But the real grit of it all still lives on the streets, still is in small clubs, still is well outside the mainstream. And I think that the easy way, it's still a genuine movement that is comprised of people that still care deeply and vastly about many different things.
Peace punk, I think, is the thing that happened, maybe started happening in the late 70s, I guess, with like Crass, a band in Europe. I feel like I always looked at it as that being the start of it, was like punk bands that didn't want to get signed to major labels like the Sex Pistols or the Clash, but they wanted to put out their own stuff and use propaganda too for like anarchist politics, or so I feel like it maybe started there as the term peace punk, because obviously it was connected to like an anti-nukes movement too. Yeah, I think it's a term for a punk person that believes in like protest and direct action and revolutionary kind of stuff, politics, but probably through with like pacifism.
Why is iconoclast or punk music important
I have a simple answer. It's just when I listen to the bands I listened to when I was 15 or 13 or 16, I still get thrilled listening to them. I still get so, inspired and happy listening to Rudimentary Peni, Crass, Discharge, Adolescence, Minor Threat. I still like get stoked listening to those bands, and there's many, many others. But it still gives me the same, like, this was made for me, or I was made for it. You know, this fits me. I don't have to pretend, I didn't have to become something I wasn't. It's actually hand in glove. So I feel like it's just a home for me. And not that I've been the most active person in the punk scene, or I don't know a lot of people and I don't really network a lot, but it's a very personal thing for me. That's like the beauty of it. It was just, in my own loneliness and isolation, it was mine.
It's therapeutic. It's therapeutic. It's healing, you know. And music has always been healing, and this is the rest of my life that this is my first, exercise in healing, and we're still here. So that's a beautiful thing. So that's why I think it's a part of why we're still here.
These are where this is scene 3 where the old guys fall asleep and we have to wake them up from the afternoon nap.
All right. Interview scene, take 1.
That's a good one.
Okay.
He's a big coochie. He's like the big HEB. No one does it better than the big happy.
Hello. Check.
The big Chavala.